exciting to be here in Disciple Center Church. We're honored to share this space with you all and be in community. And I'm sure everyone's super eager to hear from our next U.S. Senator, James Talarico. So let me hear this side. Can this side do it better? Let's see. I don't know, y'all. She kind of has y'all beat. Okay, now this back side. That sounded great too. Okay, let's try right here. Whoa. Okay, I think they are our new winners. And now let's do this section, this section, this section right here. Oh my goodness. So who's got a question? Yup, yeah. I was expecting to see way more hands. So before we get started, I want to let y'all know how tonight will work. So we will hear from a bunch of people from our area. The way that we take back Texas is through building community. So I know it can feel like money is the most powerful force in politics. Everybody say boo, big money. Yeah. Right there with you guys. But James Talarico is running a people-powered campaign, and we're going all across our beautiful state to take back Texas. Are y'all ready to do that? So, even though money has traditionally been this big, scary force all across politics, we're taking back Texas, community by community, Texans helping Texans, neighbors helping neighbors. How does that sound for y'all? So, what does that look like? For tonight, we have a wonderful town hall. First, we will hear from lots of our local elected officials. We want to uplift every single person all across Texas, and especially down ballot candidates, local leaders. So, I want everybody to give a warm welcome to all of our speakers as we have them come up here. But we're not just going to walk the walk right now. We're going to talk the talk. So are you ready, DeSoto? I think we can do better than that. Yeah, Miss Bobby agrees we can do better than that, right? Yeah, so let me hear you, DeSoto. There we go. Let me hear a Take Back Texas. Okay. I think we got it a little better. Okay, on three. 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's the DeSoto we know and love. So, how's tonight going to work? First things first, we'll hear from our speakers, and then we'll transition into our town hall. How do I get to ask a question? We're going to ask y'all to do 4 things for us. So 1, James is a teacher, so if you do not raise your hand, we will not know that you want to ask a question. Thank you. Appreciate that. So you'll raise your hand. If anybody has a question, you'll raise your hand just like this. And then we're asking folks to say 3 things. So 1, your name. 2, where you are from. And 3, we want to get through as many questions as possible, so we're asking everybody to keep it to 1 clear question. Does that work for you, DeSoto? Let's get a big community yes on 3. 1 more community yes. There we go. You guys are ready. Wonderful. So, we are not just going to be talking at y'all all day today. We're starting by building community right now. Does anybody know what that looks like? Oh, I hear a couple of yeses. Ooh. Okay, so anybody who is able to stand, if you guys can stand with me. Whoa. Okay, so now let me see those signs up, and let me hear a big woo. Wonderful! Yes, I love it. You guys look so amazing. So this is what we're going to do. We can put our signs down now. I want everybody to look around. I see lots of beautiful eyes and faces looking at me. We are building community right now, so let's have everybody turn, look at each other, embrace the awkward eye contact. I see y'all looking at me. Look at each other. Everybody look at each other. So this is what we're going to do. Find somebody who you do not know. Does that sound good, DeSoto? Okay. Once we find somebody who we do not know, we're going to start already by telling them 3 things. Ready, DeSoto? Alrighty, so we're going to start with telling them our name, where we are from, and one way you're ready to join this people-powered movement. What are some things we can do? We can donate, we can sign up to volunteer. Let's give it up for our volunteers in the yellow vests. And also our Powered by People volunteers here registering voters. They're all around there. Hi, Powered by People! Yay, okay. Then, what other things we can do? The most powerful way that we win and take back Texas is building community. You're going to hear us talk about it all night tonight, and it's exactly why we're here. So, what does that look like? Texting 3 friends. So you can tell them 3 friends that you want to text. So, to go over, I'll model for y'all. My name is Ceci. I'm from Laredo. Oh, hi, thank you guys. I'm from Laredo, and the way I'm joining this people-powered movement is I'm going to text 3 people that I know from the Valley who have never been in DeSoto and tell them how amazing this community is. Sound good? Yay! Okay, so let's start by building community, and we will be right back with our amazing community leaders. Sound good? Wonderful. Thank you, guys. I'm hearing, my apologies, we've got South Dallas. Okay. Who else is here? Who else is here? Somebody shout out. Whoa. Wait, we'll start right here. Oak Cliff. Oak Cliff.
Dixon is in the house.
Let me hear you, Dixon. Right here.
Cedar Hill.
Let me hear you, Cedar Hill.
Lancaster. And Duncanville. We should have Duncanville in the house.
Thank you. Everybody say thank you, Miss Bobby. Waxahachie. Love it. Okay, let's get one more big. Take back Texas. Take back Texas. Whoa, did y'all feel that? That is what people power feels like. And we're going to do one more just because this room is so amazing. We're all about building community here. So I'm going to say, show me what community looks like. You guys tell me, this is what community looks like. Ready? Show me what community looks like. This is what community looks like. Show me what community looks like. This is what community looks like. Wow, you guys are so incredible. All righty. Are we ready to go? Thank you all. So I'm also sure you're wondering, do we get to meet James? The answer is yes. Yay. Okay, so as you can see, there is no place in here to do that. So for everybody in here, anybody eager to meet James, we will stay until every single person in here gets an opportunity to speak with him. So if you don't get to ask a question, don't worry. We will stay here until the very end. And the way that we'll do that is right outside here, there's going to be a section with a flag, and we will have our lovely volunteers. Everybody say hi, Lauren. She's right there. Hi, Lauren. And Joy. Joy is somewhere around here, and she is a Joy. But Lauren and Joy will be right up there. We'll have the line go all across the wall. So if you're not against the wall, you're not in line. Does that sound good to everybody? Thank you. Does that sound good to everybody? Can everybody hear me? Alrighty, and friendly reminder for how this town hall works. We will raise our hands, then we'll say three things. Our name, where we are from, and one question. Yes, thank you, ma'am. So, I'll model for y'all. Again, my name is Ceci. I'm from Laredo, and my question is, are y'all ready to get this thing started? Alrighty, well, first things first, we are in Disciple Center Community Church, so let's give it up for the church. And if we're going to do this the right way, then we will need to be led in prayer first. So everybody, please give a big, warm welcome to Pastor King.
Thank you, Ceci. You getting down? You staying here?
I'm getting down.
She could have stayed here. Y'all doing all right tonight? All right. Ceci did a great job, but you in a church. Somebody shout hallelujah. Come on, shout it. Say hallelujah. I'm just checking white folk, black folk, Hispanics, orderly, whatever you say. I don't know. Nah, we all one people. Talking to James, and I'm going to do my little part and get out the way and pray because I know y'all came here tonight. I do want to thank James Talarico's team. Can y'all give it up for his team? They do this every day, traveling on and off, came from Houston. So y'all can do better than that because it takes a lot. And Ceci is smiling, but she tired, y'all. She tired. And so we thank God for her. She is the greatest cheerleader in the world, and so we thank God for you, Ceci. Tonight, though, I want you to know how this came about being here. Number one, I want to thank everybody in Dallas County because you've helped Disciple Central Community Church be, most of the time, the number one voting location in Dallas County. Y'all got to give it up for yourself because we just host. Y'all the ones do the most. And that's one of the reasons why we have this here, because of you, because you've helped bring the light and shine the light on DeSoto and all the areas here in southern Dallas County. Second thing I want to say is I have rules for what we use our church for, not just us, but our church does. And one of the things is if we're going to do something, we're going to do it right. And if we're going to do something, James and I have been talking actually since about October. And I want to let you know, this brother is the real deal. All right? I ain't just saying that because it's political. I'm in the house of the Lord. All right? I ain't got time to be lying to you. I believe in him. And here's the other thing I want you to know, what Ceci just said, because I just spoke with him before we came in. One of my rules was, I said, James, you can't come to this city and our city is not reflected in that sanctuary. And I want you to look around because this is what DeSoto, this is what Southern Dallas County looks. Can you give a hand for that? I want to say that. That's a rule. All right? It's just what it is. It is what it is. Second thing is, you can't come to this town and then just speak to the people and the people don't get to ask questions to you. And so here's what we've committed to do. We committed that we're going to stay here, and I told him, you can use this church until you get tired tonight answering questions. Because you came here to ask questions, did you? So he says right before this, hey, we're going to do that. So I want you to know this is not just some powwow rally. The brother is going to be asking your questions. Make sure you come with good questions. Now, here's the other thing. I want to make sure we are respectful in this place tonight. The reason is we do weddings in this place and we do funerals. We believe your healing can take place. We'll get you out of here. We're going to pray for you on the way out. We got to pray for, but we're going to be respectful. Everybody look at somebody and say, be respectful. I know you can get frustrated, all that good stuff, but make sure that you're respectful because it takes a lot to do this, and we know you got a lot to say, but we got a long time before we get to November. It's short, but it's long. So if you don't get your question answered tonight, guess what? You still can contact the team. You can still got time to November. Somebody say amen. All right. Now, I do want to just thank everybody again. I want to pray, and then everybody, if you would, grab hands with somebody today and make sure that you're straight tonight. Another thing is, we are streaming live right now. I forgot to say that. We are streaming live right now. So if you know somebody who couldn't come here tonight, you can stream. Go to our DC3 Online, Disciple Central Community Church. You can go to our website. You can go to our Facebook page and our YouTube page. So you can share that, go back and watch it, and share it. Let's pray, and we're going to cover. God, thank you for this wonderful night tonight. We know, God, that you do all things well. And we know, God, that this is your world. And God, we want to make sure your kingdom come, your will be done on earth. And we recognize that that is the responsibility we have. And so tonight, we've come tonight to make sure your will is done on earth. And we thank you, God, for the man who right now is coming in just a moment that you have chosen for this moment to run for office, but not just run for office, to be a catalyst in this community, in this world, to champion the things that you desire. And so tonight, God, we thank you for protection. We thank you for peace. We thank you for healthy conversation. And we thank you that tonight when we leave this place, we won't just say anything. We'll go do everything we can to get the word out and make this world a better place. It's in the mighty name of Jesus we do pray. As a matter of fact, we're going to let that hand go and we're going to clap as loud as we can because we're excited not just about now. We're excited about the future. We're excited about what's going to take place in this place tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Somebody shout amen. All right, thank you very much. And we will turn it over. Oh, while I'm here, 10 o'clock Sunday morning. And the offering baskets are right out there. God bless with y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Everybody give it up for Pastor King. Thank you so much for letting us use your space. So now, without further ado, we will get started with our first speaker of the night, a leader in public education, State Board of Education, Tiffany Clark. Thank you.
Good evening, DeSoto! Now, let's try this again, because y'all didn't show energy a minute ago, but we are here for a town hall. Let's try this again. Is Oak Cliff in the house? Lancaster, y'all. What about those neighbors down the street? Is Duncanville in the house? Is Cedar Hill in the house? Is Highland Hills in the house? Okay. So y'all are here tonight. So we are here for James Talarico Town Hall, right? All right, so y'all know public education has been under attack. As you know, the Republicans just passed a Bible-mandated curriculum in the state of Texas. Last time I checked, I don't want Ken Paxton or Greg Abbott teaching me Sunday school lessons. Matter of fact, I go to the Friendship West Baptist Church. So you know we're about social justice there. I just want to make sure we're all here for the same reason. I'm a black woman elected here in Texas. A Texas black woman elected official. And I don't need anyone to tell me who or whose I am. So make sure when you head to that ballot box in November, you check my name too. All right, so we have to figure out how we can really show up for James. I'm challenging you right now to pull out your cell phones, go to James Talarico website. Y'all not pulling out these phones. This is a real request right now. Pull out those phones. Go to James Talarico website. And let's just make a $10 donation right now. Because running a campaign is hard. Those yard signs cost money. Those t-shirts cost money. To be on the road, gas is high last time I checked. We need you all to fund this campaign like our lives depend on it. Because it does. So ask yourself, what are we going to do? What are you going to do? How many people are you going to call to make sure they get out and vote for James Talarico? And let's be clear, James isn't a perfect candidate, but neither am I. The same way you hold me accountable, you need to hold him accountable when we elect him to the Senate to represent us. But what James is doing, you can't tell me many elected officials have taken the time out to come do. And that's meet with us today, to answer our questions, to hear from us, and to see how we can support him. But your questions need to be concise. They need to be straight to the point, y'all. We don't want to hear your background. Respectfully. Let's get to the point so we can get a lot of questions answered. That's how we capitalize on our time tonight. Now, if you don't know much about James, he's been on the front lines fighting for public education. He's been fighting for teachers. He called out the voucher scam, which we're about to see the impact starting in a few weeks. That's in front of us. And he's pushing school reform for us. Again, public education is on the ballot. We don't need politicians who are comfortable. We need fighters. We need somebody willing to stand up for billionaire mega donors who think they can buy our elections, buy our policies, and buy our children's futures. And healthcare. Healthcare is not a luxury. It's life. And I know that personally. My father is on the kidney transplant list. So when I talk to you about healthcare, this isn't a talking point for me, and neither is it for James Talarico. I'm talking about my family, my priorities, healthcare, education. We have to do this, y'all, and we have to do this now. So again, pull out those phones, go to James' website, and I'm asking you to donate $10 and take 5 people to the polls with you. This is bigger than one candidate. This is about our children, our teachers, our public schools, our families. And if they're asking you if you're going to sit this one out, I suggest you say, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't do it, Pastor King, but you heard the crowd. So, remember, our children's lives are on the line. The decisions we make in November will have a lasting impact on our future. The time is now. Let's get James Talarico elected to the United States Senate. Dallas County, are you with me? Dallas County, are you with me? Let's get to work and let's get this done in November. Actually, matter of fact, early voting is October 19th. I'll see you at the polls. Now, I have the distinct honor and pleasure introducing the person who allowed me to succeed them on the State Board of Education, who gave me trust, who entrusted me to make sure when I got to Austin, I held up their values, represented Dallas County, and made sure to always be a voice for District 13. She was also your Freshman of the Year, and she now serves as House Representative 109, Representative Aisha Davis.
Thank you. Good evening, DeSoto. Wait a minute. What? No, we done been through this 3 times. Good evening, DeSoto. Yes, I am Aisha Davis. I'm so proud to represent this very area in the Texas House of Representatives. Proud to have served this area on the State Board of Education, and very proud to have served as a teacher at DeSoto High School. Yes, yes. That is why I support James Talarico all the way for U.S. Senate, because as Tiffany shared, public schools are under attack. Now, we think because we gave a couple of dollars to public schools, everything should be all fine. But when you have Congress that's trying to shut down the U.S. Department of Education, everything is not all good. When you have a State Board of Education that would rather students pick and choose Bible verses than learn about Black history, it is not all good. When you have our young Black men who can't even walk down the street and feel safe, you can't tell me that it's all good. And that is why we need James as our next U.S. Senator. Yes, yes. Tonight is the opportunity to ask those questions, because I know we have some questions. I'll be reading y'all post online. Y'all got some questions. So this is the opportunity to ask those questions. And let me tell you something about James that I know. He's not going to back down. I have seen him stand before some of those folks who want to tear down public education and not bat an eye when he fights for students and teachers. So ask your questions. Like I said, let's be respectful. We are in the house of the Lord. But let's figure out a plan to get this done, y'all. We really can win this in November. I am hopeful. I know we are going to win this in November. I know. And one of the coolest things about this area, it is one of the highest voting areas in all of Dallas County. But we have so many more voters that we need to reach out to. So many more. See, y'all in this room, I'm not worried about y'all. Y'all excited to vote. Like, y'all got y'all plan together, got your clothes laid out, everything. I need you to bring 3 people with you. When you leave here tonight, I need you to call somebody that wasn't here and tell them how awesome this event was. And tell them how excited you are about James Talarico and how you're ready to go vote and flip this state around to what it needs to be, because you care about our future. That's what I need you to do when you leave here tonight. So again, I'm so honored to be before the district where I live and I love. I'm so honored to be introducing some of the folks that just mean so much to me. But we can do this. We are going to do this. And I'm so excited when we celebrate once we do. All right, I have somebody that's coming up who's a very, very dear friend of mine. He just won a very tough race to become our next county clerk. Y'all give it up for DeMarcus.
So I told Rep. Davis don't go too far because she's going to bring James out. But I'm going to be quick. How many of y'all are truly fired up about James and about this November election? How many of y'all are truly here to get our community organized, galvanized, and fired up about the work that's here in November? Because we're here to do some work. We control what happens in November, and we have to exercise our right to make sure that our communities get out and vote. So Southern Dallas County, are y'all fired up? Are you ready to go? So I want all our elected officials to please stand who are here. I'm not going to call your names, but if you're an elected official or appointed official, please stand. See, precinct chairs, appointed officials, whoever you're here in the house, if you are a boots on the ground, stand up. Let's give them a round of applause for the work they do. Because sometimes they are underpaid, overworked, and still working on our behalf. Okay, y'all can be seated. Let's get to the business at hand. So one of the things is, my name is DeMarcus Alford. I'm the Dallas County Democrat nominee for Dallas County Clerk. 34 years old, the only black man running countywide. Now, there are other candidates who want us running as well too. When I say countywide, let me tell you how significant that is, because one, we do know how hard it is us to get elected countywide and countywide seats. Now, we represent districts, but countywide. And my goal is this: when I hear people talking about, well, I'm not going to go vote for him. Well, who are you going to vote for? What's the option? If we don't wake up and understand what's going on, this campaign is not perfect. James is not perfect. When I call James and say, hey, the primary is over with, you have my support, let me know how I can be helpful and supportive of you. I said, let's come down to DeSoto and have a block walk. He showed up. Went to the senior citizen center and talked to the seniors with Mayor Pro Tem and our Mayor Krista Chisholm. And when he showed up, they said, look, I didn't vote for you. But since you're the nominee, I'm going to get behind you. I can't tell you there is no campaign in America that's perfect. But the point of the night is to express your concerns, talk about your issues, but be solution-oriented. If you have a problem, come with a solution. So in the spirit of Eddie Bernice Johnson, in the spirit of Barbara Jordan, in the spirit of Judge Rose, in the spirit of Kathy and Joy Gillum, in the spirit of our fighters, Zan Wesley Holmes, we have to make sure that we are all hands on deck. Because I'm going to tell you that we have a lot at stake. A lot of people across the country don't have the freedoms that we have. They don't have the opportunity to participate in their democracy. They don't have the opportunity to do the things that we get to do, protest without being hurt. A lot of people fought and bled and died for us to have the right to vote. And I'll be damned if I sit this one out. Excuse my language, Pastor. So we have an opportunity to elect James because he truly cares about the community. He cares enough to listen. He cares enough to show up. He cares enough to be held accountable and to take the tough questions. There's a lot of candidates running county and statewide. We need to make sure we hold them accountable as well. Because one candidate can bear the problems for all of us. So we have to make sure we're holding everybody accountable in this election. And work with our precinct chairs. Work with our party chairs. Work with our state and party officials. Because at the end of the day, the black vote has been taken for granted. But you know what? This room shows our collective power when we work together. And we stand in line to make sure things are actually getting done. So one of my good friends, we was talking, Samaj Beth, she said, you know, when America gets a cold, black Americans get the flu. So that's a very powerful testament. Let that marinate. Just think about that. So I'm not going to be long. I'm just got to sit down because if the preacher tells you, you know, when you keep going on, keep going on, keep going on. But I'm very excited. And I want Southern Dallas County, are you fired up? Are you excited about what's ahead in November? Do you believe in this campaign? So make sure you let the world and the state of Texas know that we are serious in Dallas County to make sure we get James Talarico elected as the next U.S. Senator of the United States of America. Because there is no other option for us out there. This is our only option to flip this seat and turn Texas blue. So I need everybody to understand that from the church house to the bars to the deep ellum strips to the hallways and byways, that we have to send a message that we are serious about business and we are serious about electing Democratic candidates up and down the ballot. And the black vote is just as powerful as the bullet, so we must use it. So I'm going to pass it over to let State Rep Davis introduce our next U.S. Senator here. So, Rep. Davis, take it part.
Actually, there is a celebrity I would like to introduce. Come on, sweetie.
Hi, my name is Catalea, and I'm 7 years old. And James Talarico's coming out.
Give him a big round of applause. Give him a big round of applause.
Good job. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. You did a great job. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. Thank you for being here. I'll take this from you, okay? Thank you so much. Hey, DeSoto. It is so good to see y'all. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Pastor King, for your hospitality. Thank you for hosting us in this incredible church. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany Clark. I don't know where you are, but thank you for being one of the greatest champions for public education in this state. Thank you to DeMarcus Offord, your next Dallas County clerk. And thank you to my colleague, my friend, Representative Aisha Davis. I just want to say something. In the Texas legislature, freshmen are meant to be seen and not heard. But in Aisha's first term, every time I looked up from my desk, she was up there passing some major legislation. She was way more productive than I was in my freshman term. Y'all are so lucky to have a champion like Aisha Davis in the halls of power in Austin, Texas. And thank you all for showing up to this important conversation. We are building a movement to take back our state and take back our country. We are uniting Texans onto one team to take on this broken, corrupt political system. We have recruited more than 59,000 volunteers who are going to be doing the organizing work in communities across this state. We have shattered grassroots fundraising records, all without taking a dime from corporate PACs. This is a people-powered campaign. And we have traveled to every corner of this state, from Beaumont to El Paso, from Amarillo to Brownsville, and to right here in DeSoto, Texas. And we are holding conversations just like this one. These conversations are shaping the movement that we are building together. Campaigns should be collaborative. It should be a partnership between the candidate and the people that that candidate seeks to represent. That's what these town halls are all about. But there is no way to win Texas without black Texans. There is no way to represent this state without showing up for, investing in, and listening to black communities. And as the next U.S. Senator from Texas, I will represent more African Americans than any other senator in the country. And that work starts in the campaign, not after Election Day. And that is why we have been convening roundtable discussions with black business leaders, black elected officials, black community leaders, black faith leaders. It's why we've been worshiping in black churches. Yesterday in Houston, I visited 3 churches in one Sunday morning. My granddad was a Baptist preacher and told me I could never leave during a service. And I was a little nervous jumping from so many churches, but they told me it was all right. It's why we've been visiting our black-owned businesses all over the state of Texas. It's why we have been rolling out policy proposals that meet the needs of black communities, including working, I don't know if my colleague Tony Rose is still here. She's here. The legend, your Tony Rose. Y'all know that Representative Rose passed historic legislation to address the maternal mortality crisis in this state. And she and I worked together to put together a comprehensive plan to attack this maternal mortality crisis that is 3 times deadlier for black women in this state at the federal level. And I hope we can talk more about some of those policy plans in just a minute, it's also why we've been visiting our HBCUs. We held a town hall at Prairie View, and then I was honored to give the commencement address at Paul Quinn College up here in North Texas, the oldest HBCU in the state. It's why we've been doing interviews with black media, Dallas Weekly, Houston Defender, the Tashara Parker Show, and also on the podcast where younger folks are listening in social media spaces. We've been showing up where people are so they can hear directly from me. And that work is going to continue. This town hall is the beginning of a conversation, not the end of one. And we're going to open this up for your comments and questions in just a second. But before we do that, I just want to give you a sense of why I do this work. Because for me, politics and policy is deeply personal. Before I was a politician, I was a public school teacher on the west side of San Antonio. I taught 6th grade language arts at Rhodes Middle School. I often say that teaching middle school is the best preparation for politics. If you've taught middle school or you've had a middle schooler, you understand. I entered the classroom in the fall of 2011, right after the Texas legislature cut more than $5 billion from our public schools. I saw the impact of those cuts firsthand. I had 45 kids in one classroom. There weren't enough desks for all of my students, so I had kids sitting on the air conditioning unit. In the wealthiest country in human history, in the 21st century, children sitting on the air conditioning unit. And that got me mad. Righteous anger, Pastor King. I ended up leading a local education nonprofit that was helping low-income schools like the one I taught in. And then when a seat in that very same legislature opened up in my hometown of Round Rock, Texas, I threw my hat in the ring. I was 28 years old. I had never run for office before. I was a Democrat running in a Trump district, in a county that was so red it hadn't voted for a Democrat for president since Jimmy Carter. I was told by the powers that be in the Democratic Party that the race was a lost cause. I was told flipping a Trump district like that was impossible. I was told I was too young. I was told I didn't have the money or the political connections to win. But my neighbors and I gathered in rooms like this. We ran an aggressive, authentic, unorthodox campaign that brought people together. And on election night, we flipped that district with 51% of the vote. And by the way, the only reason I'm standing before you in my 4th term in the Texas House is because we had historic black turnout in my district in 2018. We have the opportunity to do that again in this race if we do it right. And that's what this conversation today is all about. In my 4 terms, I have passed 60 bipartisan bills in a Republican-dominated legislature, bills that raise teacher pay, that lower the cost of housing and childcare and prescription drugs, including insulin. I've also gone toe-to-toe with the Republican extremists who are trying to defund our public schools with a private school voucher scam. I have defended our students from bills that would ban books, that would whitewash our curriculum, that would go after our teachers and our librarians. And then last summer, my colleagues here, Representative Davis, Representative Rose, we broke quorum to shine a national spotlight on their redistricting power grab, which is systematically diluting the voting power of black and brown Texans all over this state. Just in the last 12 months, we have seen the most aggressive attack on black political power since Jim Crow. The rulings from the Supreme Court, the gutting of the Voting Rights Act, these racist redistricting maps, the stakes for this election could not be higher. This is why I'm running, because these fights that we've been waging at the state capitol are now more urgent than they've ever been before. A few months ago, I'll close with this. A few months ago, I visited Sand Branch, Texas, a community just south of here without any running water. My volunteers and I came together to drop off packs of bottled water for the residents in Sand Branch. They have been failed by leaders in Washington, D.C. So much of our money has gone to billionaire tax breaks and new forever wars in the Middle East, and none of it is coming back home for communities like Sand Branch. We are closing schools and hospitals in this country so we can bomb schools and hospitals in other countries. There is never enough money for education and healthcare, but there's always enough money for war. This morning we learned that one of our own, Private Isabella Gonzalez, was killed by an Iranian airstrike in Jordan. Isabella grew up in Carrollton, not too far from here. She was just 19 years old. She just graduated from Hebron High School. Isabella was sent to serve in a reckless war that no one asked for. We pay for it with our tax dollars. Isabella paid for it with her life. There is no greater love of country than to lay down your own life for it. Isabella died a hero and a patriot. We are grateful for her service and her sacrifice, but our gratitude for her service should not be mistaken for an acceptance of her death. We should not be sending our brave young men and women like Isabella off to die in another forever war. Our service members love this country. It's time for this country to love them back. This underscores the stakes of this election. We have a lot of work to do, DeSoto, a lot of work to do. I, as the candidate, have a lot of work to do. We, as a campaign, have a lot of work to do. But if we do that work, if we do it together, we are going to do something extraordinary in November of this year. We are going to end 30 years of one-party rule and elect a senator who's going to serve all of us. All right, that's enough of me talking. I now want to open this up for your comments, your questions. I am a former middle school teacher, so if you don't raise your hands, I'm just going to call on you. So my only ask is when you ask your question, introduce yourself. I know a lot of people in this room, but not everybody. So tell us your name, and then ask your question or share your comment or your idea or your story, whatever's on your mind. I think we took 10 questions in Houston yesterday. We got to do better than that, DeSoto. So I will be here. And if you don't get your question asked, I'm going to stay till the very end, and I will take every photo. I will answer every question. I'll shake every hand. I'll be the last person who leaves. I got nowhere but the hotel to go, so we'll be here for a while. I think we got our first question, and let me just tell you where the mics are. So Ceci has a mic. Where are the other mics?
Right over there.
Rob has one, and where's
And
Falashide?
Rob.
Right here. Falashide has one too.
So just keep your hands up for
So
us.
those are your 3 mics.
Exactly. Thank you all.
Thelma Clardy, former DeSoto City Council member.
Hey.
I'm going to make this comment quick. First of all, I commend you. Thank you for coming to DeSoto. My question is, as a former lawyer with the U.S. Department of Education, Office for Civil Rights, I am very disgusted with what's happening education-wide, civil rights-wide, and I would ask you to please, because the Education Department, Black women, not only with the Education Department and all the other federal agencies, have been impacted the most. Right. So I would ask you to have a platform to include how we can put these people back to work.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And couldn't agree more. So a few things. We have seen hundreds of thousands of Black women laid off because of this crazy DOGE process. And I don't want to call them public employees. I want to call them what they are, which is public servants. These are the folks who selflessly sign up to protect our communities, to protect our schools and our kids, and they deserve so much better than what they got from Elon Musk's crazy DOGE committee. And I am committing to you that when we win this seat, when we win a Senate majority, we will repeal these DOGE cuts. We will restore these public servants to their positions. And let me explain real quick, because this is not just about someone's job. This is about all of us. Because some of you may have heard that a pest that we got rid of 60 years ago, the New World screwworm, is now back in Texas infecting our livestock. It is threatening ranchers and farmers all over the state. We had an office in Uvalde, Texas, staffed with experts monitoring the spread of the New World screwworm, preventing it from coming into this country. And then the richest man in the world thought it was a great idea to eliminate that office. And now the New World screwworm is back in Texas after 60 years. So this is not just about restoring people to their jobs, as important as that is. These jobs are critical. They protect us. They protect our economy. And it's why we need to do so much better by our public servants. So thank you for asking that question. You also mentioned education. So I, along with Representative Gina Hinojosa, our next governor, she's the best. I think our colleagues can agree Gina's the best. She and I sit next to each other on the floor of the House. We sit in the back row because we're the bad kids who cause all the problems. She and I led the fight against these private school voucher scams. And let me just real quick, for those that don't know the history of this, the first voucher scam was introduced in Texas in 1957. And for the history buffs in the room, you know that was just a couple years after Brown v. Board of Education. That first voucher bill was a deliberate attempt to allow white parents to take their kids out of newly integrated public schools and send their kids to white-only private schools. These voucher scams have a dark, disturbing history. The good news was that Texans came together on a bipartisan basis to defeat vouchers every decade they were brought up until this last legislative session, when Greg Abbott took $12 million from an out-of-state billionaire from Pennsylvania. Guy didn't even live here. He took that $12 million and he primaried his fellow Republicans whose only sin was standing up for their rural public schools. They rammed that voucher bill through. And now we're seeing folks pushing a federal voucher scam that would defund our schools, not across Texas, but across the nation. We've seen them gut the Department of Education. We've seen them attempt to whitewash our history curriculum. We've seen them try to ban books from diverse authors in our school libraries. There is a full frontal assault on public education in this country, and it's why we need a proven fighter for our schools in the U.S. Senate. It's why we need a teacher in the United States Senate to fight for our students. So thank you for asking that question. All right. Falashade, yes.
Hello, James. Thank you for coming. My name's Mia. I am a citizen of DeSoto. This is actually my polling location. My question, it actually segues into what you just spoke about, which are the public school versus private vouchers. Having had a family member with severe autism and knowing the fight that my sister-in-law and brother-in-law had to go through to ensure that even in public school he got all the services that were needed, how will you, on a federal level, work to ensure that those entities that are receiving public funding for private schools be mandated to provide the same requirements for special education to ensure that all families that receive those funds and all schools are held to the same requirements as federal funding?
So this is maybe the most troubling part about these private school voucher scams, because they call it school choice. You probably heard that slogan when it comes to vouchers. It's not school choice, it's the school's choice, because the private schools get to decide who's admitted and who's not. And the states that have tried these private school voucher scams, they tend to reject our students with disabilities, our students with special needs, our students in special education. They reject our students with behavior problems. They reject the students who need the most help. They take the students who are the easiest to teach and whose parents can afford the gap between the voucher and the tuition bill. So, and this is not, you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the data on this voucher scam in Texas. 75% of the recipients of this voucher money already have their kids in private school. So now you're taking money out of underfunded schools here in DeSoto, and you're giving it to wealthy parents who are already sending their kid to St. Mark's. It's why we all call vouchers welfare for the wealthy. It is a transfer of wealth from the bottom, from the middle, to the very top. And it is immoral. It is unconscionable. It's unacceptable. And I hope that I can be part, as well as everybody in this room, can be part of a movement that takes back this state and repeals this insane voucher program and fully funds our public schools. And can I get a show of hands? Do we have any teachers here with us today, or retired teachers? Let's give them a round of applause. We have teachers in this community, in this state, who are driving Ubers at night to make extra money. The teaching profession is the most important profession, because without it, there would be no other professions. Everything comes back to teachers. And so not only do we need to repeal vouchers, but we got to pay teachers what they deserve. We got to make sure that we are funding universal early childhood education for every single kid in this state and in this country. And we got to make sure that every single child, regardless of their skin color, regardless of the zip code they're born into, regardless of the language that they grow up speaking, has the opportunity to fulfill their God-given potential. And that is what we can do when we win this race in Texas. Other questions? Rob's got one here. I recognize you.
Hi, my name is Catalea, and I am 7 years old, and I am from Dallas.
I love it. I love it.
Well,
You're doing great.
Well, as I look around our community today, I know that our leaders aren't working for the people anymore, and I'm worried if they aren't thinking about how this affects my generation. As Malcolm,
Amen.
As Malcolm X once said, I am for truth, no matter who tells it. I am for justice, no matter who is for or against.
All right.
So I am asking you, what are you going to do for my generation and my people?
Amen. A round of applause. Round of applause for our next U.S. Senator. So it's young people like you, and I mean real young, that don't have political power. Because unlike all of us adults, you can't vote. You can't donate. You can't lobby. And therefore, your concerns, your needs get overlooked by people in power. And it's why we need to elect public servants, like the people you see sitting around this circle, to make sure that we are fighting for you, that we are fighting for our youngest, tiniest Texans. We need to fight to make sure that your public schools have all the money they need. We need to fight to make sure you've got the health care that you need to grow up big and strong and healthy. And then we've got to make sure that you have an economy when you grow up where you can succeed, where you can give the gift that you're meant to give to the world. And it's our job to make sure that you can give that gift. So thank you for asking your question.
You're welcome.
And I'm excited to vote for you one day. Or hear your sermons. I don't know what you're going to do, but just taking us to church. Thank you.
Next question right in front of you, other side.
All right, next question, you got to be cuter than that. So where's the next question?
Right behind you, right here, right side.
Oh.
Right here.
Hi, yes, I
There
see
we
you.
go.
I see you.
Sorry, I'm short.
Good evening, sir. My name's Christopher. I'm from Grand Prairie, Texas. All right. Glad to see you. My question is, I used to work for the state's public health agency. I got laid off last year. My question is that if elected, what is your vision for the federal government creating some type of new work relief program at the federal level, like what was done during the FDR era, like a Civilian Conservation Corps or a Works Progress Administration?
I love that idea. And it's because we have so many talented people across this state, across our communities, who are still able to serve. And it's our job as a community, it's our job as a state to make sure we're giving you that opportunity to serve. And so I love the idea of a New Deal type program that provides those opportunities for those without a job to have one and to be able to contribute to our communities. I think it's so necessary. Right now, we've got so many people who are underemployed, not just unemployed, but underemployed. People who have so much potential, who have so many talents, and we're not taking advantage of it. And it's our job as public officials to ensure that we're creating an environment where every single person can contribute, because we're stronger when we do that. We were stronger when it was happening in the New Deal era. And I think given the economic disruption that we're seeing, the economic disruption we will see from AI and new technology, we've got to be creative about how we build opportunities for people to still contribute. And so I love that thought. I'll give one plug. When you go home tonight, I hope you'll take a look at our policy page on our website. We have, I am proud to say, the most detailed policy page of any Senate candidate in the country. And on that page, there is an opportunity for folks to submit their ideas. Because again, a campaign should be a collaboration. And so ideas like that, which I hadn't even thought of, I hope you will submit those on that portal, on the website, because there is so much creativity in this room. There is so much imagination across this state for how things could be different. And I want to tap into that collective creativity. So please go on the website, check it out, and submit ideas just like that one. Appreciate you, sir. And thank you for your service.
Over here.
Hey.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
My name is Jayla Godbolt, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. And my question would be, are you for or against cross-dressing teachers in schools? I know that you said that you believe that there are 6 genders and Jesus is non-binary. And so in March, I had an ordeal at my kids' elementary school where it's very distracting. And so I wanted to know, will you be supporting those things? Because I don't think in elementary schools that is appropriate.
Yeah, I think if you enjoy cross-dressing, you should probably do that at home, not bring it to work. But I also want to say that there are so many cynical politicians who are using our LGBTQ community to grandstand, to score political points, to demonize and to weaponize. And we've got to be, we all together, all of us, whether we're part of that community or not, we got to attempt to unite people, to resist those efforts to divide us. Because that is how corrupt politicians like Ken Paxton stay in power, because they divide and they distract. Now, I want to make sure that our public schools are for education, not indoctrination. It's why I have fought this Christian nationalist agenda to shove religion down the throats of our students, including our most vulnerable students. You may know that my faith is central in my life. My granddad, as I mentioned, was a Baptist preacher. And when I was real little, he told me that as Christians, we're supposed to follow the 2 commandments that Jesus gave us. Love God and love neighbor. And there's no exception to that second commandment. I'm called as a Christian to love all of my neighbors, not just my neighbor who looks like me, not just my neighbor who prays like me, not just my neighbor who loves like me. I am called to love all of my neighbors the way I love myself. And that's what we need now more than ever in our politics. So thank you for asking your question.
Over here.
Other questions? Yes.
Hi, thanks for coming out. My name is Caress Marie, and I came all the way from Fort Worth, Texas to speak to you
Cowtown.
today. Hello, DeSoto. So my question is, I've heard on the campaign trail come from you that black voters are often disregarded from the DNC and from Democrats, that we're taken advantage of. What are you going to do to make sure black voters in Texas specifically are not taken advantage of by your policies?
That's a great question. So thank you for asking that, and thank you for coming from Fort Worth. I'm actually going to be in Tarrant County tomorrow. And you're absolutely right. We got to confront the truth. The Democratic Party has a troubling history of taking black voters for granted. And it is the fastest way to lose an election. Because the way to lose is to take any community for granted, to take any voter for granted. And I am committed to not repeating those mistakes. It's why we're having this conversation tonight. It's why we have been competing for black votes all over the state. I am treating black voters as swing voters. It's why we have been showing up in black communities all over the state, why we've been showing up on black media, why we are not just speaking to the issues that we all face, you know, the cost of housing, the cost of health care, but issues that black Texans face in particular, whether it's maternal mortality, whether it is the attack on voting rights, whether it's the attack on the HUB program, historically underutilized businesses that is hurting black-owned businesses all over the state. We need to make sure that this campaign is reflective of the diversity of this beautiful state. It is impossible for any one person to reflect that diversity. And it's why we need to build a campaign that reflects that diversity. This campaign, you should think of this campaign as a teenager. It's not a baby anymore, but it's not quite an adult yet, right? It's going to be an adult after Labor Day. This campaign is an unruly teenager. And so there is so much growth still left for this campaign. And I want to reiterate something that was said earlier. I am not a perfect candidate. This is not a perfect campaign. This will not be a perfect campaign. But if we are all committed to the same goal, which is changing the politics of this state, and if we come together in friendship, real friendship, I don't want a relationship where we're just coming together for a photo op. I want honesty, because that's what real friends do. And if we do that, and if we adjust our strategy, if we adjust where we're spending money, where we're spending time, if we're reaching out to the people who need that extra touch, then we are going to be successful together. There is no way to win this but together. And so I am committing to you to continue to grow as a candidate myself. And on behalf of this campaign, I am committed to its future growth with you as our partner. And so that's what this conversation is about. I'm very much interested in ideas you may have. Some of the stuff we've been doing, the Paul Quinn commencement address. I was on DD in the Morning just a few days ago. Those ideas came from meetings like this, from small group discussions with black leaders, from open town halls where black voters have brought their ideas, from folks who are just sending them via email. Because this campaign is smart, but we're not as smart as everybody in this room, right? We need your creativity. We need your ideas. If you're thinking, I never see Talarico here, or I never hear Talarico talking about this, it is on you to tell us so that we can change, right? I will commit to doing better if you commit to helping us do better. This is a partnership. And we don't have time to be defensive as a campaign. We got a race to win. And this work is too important for anyone's ego to get caught up in it. This has to be about the state of Texas. This has to be about all of us. And so, to answer your question specifically, There are a few things. One, I want to talk about investment, because as you all know, this campaign has raised a lot of grassroots money. I do want to caution you, though, this is a big state, so that there's a lot of voters to reach, and we got a lot more fundraising to do. I'm sorry for all the fundraising texts. I was actually doing a town hall like this, and someone lifted up their phone and was like, "You just texted me. How can you?" Anyway, they're all me. We have a lot of fundraising left to do, but I can say tonight that we are planning on spending $25 million on black voter outreach in this campaign, and that is the largest investment in black voter outreach in the history of Texas politics. And so where that money is spent, how it's spent, that is still up for discussion between all of us, and we need your feedback. But I want you to know that we are setting aside that money to do that work. We are putting our money where our mouth is. And then we got to do more than just ads. We got to do more than just mailers. I believe in human-to-human, person-to-person organizing. That is how we win Texas. Yes, the ads are important. Yes, getting our message on TV, on radio, in mailers, that's all important. And customizing those messages for different communities across the state, that's important. But the way we're going to win this election is neighbor to neighbor. And so we are investing major resources in a coordinated campaign. For the first time in 20 years, all the statewide candidates are coming together with the state party, with our allied organizations, with our labor unions, with our community groups, to coordinate our resources so that we're not duplicating efforts. And it's hard. It's hard and it's not perfect. We got a lot more work to do to make sure we're working with our county parties and our local organizations. But it is hard to get Democrats to all work together. Some of you may remember the Will Rogers quote, "I'm not a part of an organized political party, I'm a Democrat." It's hard to get us all to work together because we're all different. This is a coalitional party. We're all come from different communities, different backgrounds, different beliefs. But if we're going to win this thing, we all got to be on the same team. We got to be rowing in the same direction. And that takes work to make sure that every community feels like they are truly represented by the coordinated campaign. But I'm excited about the direction we're moving. The last thing I'll say, we have to invest in our down ballot candidates. And this is something we've got work left to do. You don't applaud yet, because we got work to do on this. But we have started the work of making sure that we are investing in and supporting those candidates at the bottom of the ballot. Because those candidates at the bottom of the ballot, they're going to help me and Representative Hinojosa at the top of the ticket. Because they're the ones who are knocking on doors, registering voters, actually speaking to the needs of each particular community. And I remember when I was running for State House how difficult it was to be a down ballot candidate. And so we have already invested $250,000 in the House Democratic Campaign Committee, which is helping take back the State House. We were just in Houston campaigning with Dr. Letitia Plummer, who will make history as the first black woman to serve as Harris County judge. We already talked about DeMarcus, who's going to be your next county clerk. But there are so many amazing candidates who are running for State House, State Senate, City Council, School Board. And we as a campaign, we as a coordinated campaign, want to make sure we're uplifting those candidates. So that is still a work in progress. And I know there are down ballot candidates here in the room that I've committed to doing a better job of supporting and helping. So this is a work in progress, but I just want to give you a sense of what are the key pillars of this plan so we don't make the same mistakes that the Democratic Party has made in our history.
We are all the way back here to your left side. Right side
Left
now,
side.
right side, right here. See us?
Yes,
all the way
I
back
see
here.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, I actually met you this time last year in Austin, Texas. My
Hey.
name is Olivia Marmion,
Hi,
and
Olivia.
I live in Georgetown, Texas, which is near Austin, Texas.
Yep.
And I'm the founder and president of the Southwestern University Black Alumni Network. And we're having our very own Freedom Summer 2.0, where we're looking to turn out the vote
I love
this summer. And so I have a question that is kind of similar to what the lady before me asked with the finer point. So, and I'm going to stick to the script because I tend to ramble. For far too often, black folks and black women are the backbone that hold up democracy. And Democrats give us crumbs and call it a meal once in office. We're the last spoken to on the campaign trail, and we're told, like I heard tonight, that, well, there are no other options. But the truth is, black folks always have a choice. They could simply choose to sit out because they're tired of being taken for granted. Many did in 2024, and I'm currently hearing from our college students this very sentiment. So my question is, while I appreciate you talking with our community now, how specifically will you continue to keep a pulse on our community and ensure we're not being fed crumbs after we elect you into office? And what would you say? And what would you say to the young Texas voters to motivate them to vote for you?
Oh, such great questions. So, one is making sure that we have a campaign team that is reflective of the diversity of this state. I am proud to say that we are a staff-driven campaign. We have consultants. We're hiring particular consultants in the weeks and months ahead. They play an important role. But on too many campaigns, consultants are in the driver's seat. I made a conscious decision at the very beginning that I wanted this campaign to be run by Texans for Texans. And so the team that we've assembled, some of whom are in this room, are some of the most talented, young, bright minds in Texas politics. And our senior staff, the people who are making decisions about where we spend money, where we spend time, where we spend resources, that senior staff is majority minority and majority women. So we want our campaign team to look like Texas. And now we got to do the extra step of ensuring that the consultants we use, the firms we're working with, are also reflective of that diversity. And here's where I'll ask for your help, because now that we're ramping up in the campaign, we're going to be hiring some consulting firms to do work in the Latino community, to do work in black communities, and we need your help to recommend organizations, firms, leaders who are doing that work effectively, because we don't have time in this campaign to waste on ineffective organizations anywhere. We need your help to show us who's doing the work on the ground, who is actually showing up, who is actually moving communities in this area. So give us those names, give us those organizations, because we are making those decisions in the next month. And so we have work to do, but I am confident that by the time this campaign is an adult after Labor Day, we are going to have a full team, staff and consultants, that look like this state and that can ensure that we are meeting the needs of every community across Texas. And your last question about young voters, I think that young Texans will be the deciding factor in this race in November. This is the second youngest state in the country. Utah is number 1, fun fact. Texas is number 2. We have so many of my fellow millennials and Gen Zers who feel disillusioned with this broken, corrupt political system. I hear it all the time, and they have good reason. Young people have scrolled through more suffering, more conflict, more division than any generation in human history. Y'all have been through a lot. My job is not to convince you that this system isn't broken. My job is to convince you that you have the power to change it. They wouldn't be trying so hard to stop you from voting if your vote wasn't powerful. And right now, there is a systemic assault on young voters across the state, including young black voters. They know the power of Gen Z. They know the power of millennials. And if we as young people, I'm not really that young anymore, 37, my joints ache. I go to bed at 10 o'clock every night. But if young people like you flex your political muscle, you can transform the politics of this state and of this country. And so in my first campaign, we had historic youth turnout, and here's how I did it. I went door to door, apartment complexes, dormitories, including Southwestern, which was on the border of my first district. And I was talking directly to young people, and I kept hearing this refrain: I'm not interested in politics. And eventually, I told them the truth. I said, you may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. You may not care about politics, but your boss at work, he cares about politics. Your landlord, he cares about politics. Your insurance company cares about politics. And until you care about politics, they're going to keep using the political system to screw you over. And so we've got to meet We got to meet young people where they're at. Young people have a strong BS detector. Can I say BS in a church, Pastor King? Am I okay? Okay, all right. And so we have got to be honest about what's broken, and then we've got to rebuild faith in Gen Z, in millennials, that they have the power to remake this broken system in their own image. And that's how we're going to win this race in November. So thank you for your work and your question.
Over here.
Hi. Yes.
Good evening and thank you for coming. My name is Dr. Helen Gibson. I practice in DeSoto. I live in Cedar Hill. And one of my questions is, as we came into 2026, they made it harder for Medicare patients to see specialists. So now you have a PCP with all these patients who need to go to the nephrologist, the cardiologist, the rheumatologist. So we have to wait for patients who are diabetic wounds to get a referral. They have also gone up on the co-pays of seniors. So they're talking about Social Security, Medicare entitlements. They are not entitlements.
That's
You
right.
took that money from us before we saw it. So these people have a right to health care, but they're making it harder. So not only in my specialty, but I'm talking to the ophthalmologists, other friends in subspecialties, that the patients are not getting what they need. One patient, he's been 7 months, he just got in to see me, diabetic wound issues, because he couldn't get the referral. So what can we do to help what is broken in healthcare to make sure people in the United States, which alleges to be the richest country, get what they deserve?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And thank you for your service. The short answer is we can finish the work of President Obama and pass a public option so that every single American has access to the health care they deserve. Because health care is a human right. It is not a privilege. Since we are in church, and because I said BS earlier, if you read our scriptures, if you read the New Testament, what does Jesus spend most of his time doing? It's not, well, you already know, okay. It's not preaching, it's not teaching, it is healing. Healing the sick. And in Matthew 25, Scripture says that's how we will be judged and how we will be saved. By healing the sick, by feeding the hungry, by welcoming the stranger, by visiting the prisoner. And this is personal for me. When I was 28, I was running for my seat in the State House. Again, I was running in a Republican district, so I had to do something to change the game. I said I ran an unorthodox campaign. What I decided to do was walk the entire length of my district, from Round Rock, Texas to Taylor, Texas, 25 miles. I walked the whole thing in one day on foot in the Texas heat, and I held town halls along the way. I wasn't worried about my ability to do a 25-mile walk. I was 28 years old, perfectly healthy. I hike Big Bend every year, and it was pretty flat terrain. But halfway through the walk, I started to feel fatigued and nauseous. I figured I was dehydrated, so I just chugged some water. I kept going. I actually threw up a couple times along the walk. Somehow I finished it. When I got home, I figured I just needed a good night's sleep. I went to bed, and I slept for 36 hours straight. My family got concerned. They took me to the ER where nurses checked my blood sugar. I wasn't even sure what blood sugar was. They told me a normal blood sugar is 100 or lower. Mine was 900. I was in a state of diabetic ketoacidosis, which leads to coma and death without insulin. I was in the ICU for 3 days. I was lucky to be alive. The nurses and doctors saved my life, professionals like you. I left the ICU. I went to Walgreens to pick up my first 30-day supply of insulin, this new medicine that I now needed to live. And that 30-day supply cost me $684. I didn't have that kind of money, so I put it on a credit card. And I soon learned that Texans with diabetes we're facing the same problem. Many of them, as you know, are rationing and skipping doses because they don't make enough money to afford the medicine they need to live. And so when I won that race and flipped that district, I worked with Representative Tony Rose, with my colleagues in the State House, with Republicans. We took on Big Pharma and their lobbyists, and we capped insulin copays in the state of Texas at $25 per prescription. That is the progress we can make. But as you know better than anybody, we have the highest number of uninsured people in the whole country. So the copay cap doesn't do a lot of good if you don't have insurance. And so we have a deeply broken healthcare system. We have for-profit, private health insurance companies that are sucking the blood out of this healthcare system. And we sometimes sanitize this by talking about premiums rising or people falling off their health insurance. But we should be honest about what ends up happening, and that is people die. People die needlessly. This one big, ugly bill that passed a year ago today, that bill, based on bipartisan estimates, says that it's going to kill 51,000 Americans needlessly every year because of cuts made to health care. We didn't expand Medicaid. Well, not we. Tony Rose and I would have expanded Medicaid in a heartbeat. The Republican leaders of this state have refused to expand Medicaid. And because of that, so many Americans, so many Texans rely on the Affordable Care Act, on those subsidies. And because those cuts have been made to the ACA, we've seen some Texans see their premiums rise $1,000. Some of them are falling off their insurance entirely, and some of them will die because of it. So this is an emergency across the state of Texas. And I think what you're seeing as part of this campaign is people coming together. Black, white, brown, rural, urban, suburban, Democrats, independents, and Republicans who are rejecting the extremism and the corruption in our government and who are ready to fight to make sure that healthcare is truly a human right for every single person in this state. Who's next?
Right over here.
Oh, thank
over
you.
here.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Good.
My name is Jay Swarobo Inabi Carey Jr. I'm actually a member here at DC3.
Hey, thank you.
All right. So when the term middle class was mentioned by politicians, many black Americans, such as myself, we hear the silent white at the beginning of the middle class. The current man-made financial crisis is not just about class. There's a racial component to it that's often ignored. We have a record number of black women and black men who have lost jobs due to Trump's economy and a spineless Congress to hold them in check. You win in November, majority party or minority in Congress. What is your plan for reducing black unemployment?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I hear from black Texans who have lost their jobs over the last 12 months all the time, all over the state. And we need a senator who's not just going to reverse the cuts made through the DOGE process, but who is absolutely committed to unrigging this economy so that all of us can get ahead. Right now, we have too many working poor. And in my view, that should be an oxymoron. If you are working full-time in this country, you should not be poor. And we have so many hardworking Texans who can't get by because of the high cost of living and because our pay has been stagnant or declining for decades. We used to, talking about the middle class, we used to have the largest middle class in the world. That middle class has almost disappeared. I saw a stat the other day that 90% of baby boomers went on to earn more money than their parents. That's a pretty good definition of the American dream, earning. Can you hear me? I heard someone say Ken Paxton. This section over here is troublemakers. So 90% of baby boomers made more money than their parents. For millennials, it's 50%. For Gen Z, it's even lower. So what I'm committed to is economic mobility, ensuring that we have an economic system that rewards hard work. And I've heard about this across black communities. We talked about the attack on black-owned businesses. But there are so many young black entrepreneurs who can't access capital, who can't realize their dreams of starting a business. And we should all want that, because that's how we strengthen this economy. That's how we all end up richer and stronger as a community. So supporting our young entrepreneurs, including our young black entrepreneurs. Childcare, we often don't think of as a workforce issue, but if you're a young parent, a young mom, a young dad, you can't contribute to this economy if you can't afford childcare during the day. And right now, childcare is more expensive than college in the state of Texas. This is a silent crisis. Our seniors may not know this. You may not know this if you don't have young kids, but it is near impossible to afford quality childcare in this country. And that is a workforce issue. The last one I'll mention is home ownership, because the cornerstone of the American dream is home ownership. And I was sitting, we have a lot of Gen Z members of our team. The best thing you can do as a candidate is listen to your Gen Z staff, because they know what they're talking about. We were developing our housing platform, which you can again check out on our website. And during that discussion, I used the term, some of the older folks here are going to know this term. I used the term starter home. And I got blank stares from every Gen Z member of the team. The idea that you used to be able to afford a home in your 20s or your 30s, it is a foreign concept to young people. And that's because the system is rigged against us. We were told, you look like a young man too, we were told that if we worked hard, he's laughing, I guess. If we were told if we work hard, if we play by the rules, if we study, we could live that dream, and that was a lie. And so I passed a bill in the state legislature to allow us to start building a kind of housing that they use all over the world, smaller complexes for things like condos, which is a great entry point to home ownership. I passed that bill in a Republican legislature, but we also need to go one step further at the national level. We have to outlaw Wall Street from gobbling up all the housing stock in this state and in this country. We have to end exclusionary zoning and the vestiges of redlining so that all of us can benefit from home ownership. This has to be at the cornerstone of our economic vision, because if you can't own property, it's hard to be able to build wealth generationally, and that is the goal. And so we have more work to do on this, but we are trying to articulate an economic vision where folks who work hard, folks who play by the rules are able to get ahead. That's not the economy we have today. If we're going to rebuild the middle class, then we all have to come together to win this election so we can unrig this broken economy. Thank you.
Next question, right behind you. To your right. Right here where this camera is.
Hey,
right
yes.
here.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Talarico. Welcome to what we call the best Southwest here in the southern Dallas County.
I love it.
My name is Ahmad Garrett. I'm a college student and resident of DeSoto. You speak and are very vocal about the influence of big money in politics, and I'm curious how you intend to foster bipartisanship in the Senate to push campaign finance reform and hold our elected officials accountable for prioritizing corporations and special interest groups over us, the people.
Such a good question. So I know I sound like a broken record about money in politics, but it is the rot at the core of this broken system. It's why we can't make progress on healthcare. It's why we can't make progress on education. It's why we can't make progress on unrigging this economy. It's because we have a government not of, by, and for the people, but of, by, and for the billionaires. And we have to be honest about that fact. I have said many times that when we win this seat, when we win a Senate majority, when, God willing, we have a person in the White House who believes in the Constitution, when we have the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, the first thing we should do, the first thing, before we get to healthcare, before we get to education, before we get to jobs and the economy, the first thing we have to do is fix this democracy. We have to overturn Citizens United and get this big money out of our politics. We must ban corporate PACs and super PACs so billionaires aren't making unlimited secret donations to campaigns. We must ban members of Congress from trading stocks and enriching themselves while they're in public office. We must overhaul the Supreme Court because we've seen corruption in the highest court in our land. And we must finally pass a national ban to end gerrymandering once and for all in every state in the union, red states and blue states alike. Because I know all that sounds like inside baseball. It sounds like process. But until we fix the system itself, we're not going to make progress on the issues we care about. I want to mention one more thing that should be part of that comprehensive political reform. It may be the most important thing, and that is passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Act in Washington, D.C. Our voting rights don't come from politicians. They don't even come from the Constitution. They come from God. And for those who aren't religious, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. What I mean by that is that these rights are inherent. We are owed them as human beings. Because if they come from politicians, that means politicians can take them away. But if they come from God, those rights can never and should never be taken away. That is what we're forgetting in this country. This seat that I'm running for is LBJ's Senate seat. And some of you know that it was a Texas Democrat, a Texas teacher, that signed the Voting Rights Act into law. We have to win this seat and live up to the legacy of Lyndon Johnson. And that starts with passing federal voting rights protections for all of our neighbors. So thank you for asking that question. And I hope we continue pushing the Democratic Party, pushing all elected officials to prioritize that systemic political reform so we can get this country back on track. Other questions?
Got a question over here?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Osanla Olamo El. I'm just retired from the state of Texas and I moved to Lancaster, Texas. My question deals with reparations. I'm a descendant of an enslaved foundational Black American. This country has given reparations and support the state of Israel since 1960, which is the year that I was born. We've also given reparations to Japanese as well. With the onslaught of police brutality of Black Americans here in America, this has been going on for some time now. Do you support reparations, and would you legislate for an anti-Black crime bill?
Thank you. Restoration, repairing past harms is part of my faith tradition. It's part of the values I was raised with. And it's exactly why we need a lot of the policies we've been talking about here to invest in Black communities, to invest in Black Texans, whether it's tuition relief, whether it's home ownership grants, whether it is baby bonds to ensure that we are helping to build that generational wealth. We have to correct the injustices of our past. I talked about Sam Branch, Texas. I don't think I mentioned that Sam Branch is a freedman community. So we are seeing the reverberations of slavery in modern day Texas all over the place. And until we as a society are committed to righting those past wrongs, of restoring our Black communities, we're never going to be able to get this country back on track. And so we, I think in this election, have a prime opportunity Because not only is this a Senate seat that could determine the Senate majority, but all of you know that if we win Texas with a room that looks like this, that is going to be an earthquake in American politics. It will transform the politics of this nation, and it will allow us to build the political will to be able to repair those past harms. Part of what you asked is about a crime bill. In the state legislature, I had a constituent of mine murdered by the police. His name was Javier Ambler. He was an unarmed black man who was pulled over for not dimming his brights. He told the officers that night that he had a heart condition. They tased him so many times that he died right in front of them. The whole thing was filmed for a reality TV show called Live PD. It's kind of like Cops. I worked with Javier Ambler's family, his sister Kimberly. She and I started to do some digging, and we found that there's an incredible amount of research on these reality TV policing programs, that these programs encourage more violent interactions between law enforcement and their constituents, particularly their black constituents. And so Kimberly and I, we walked the halls of the legislature. We went office to office, Democrats and Republicans alike, and we passed Javier Ambler's law, which bans reality TV policing in the state of Texas. No longer can a reality TV show like Live PD or Cops contract with a law enforcement agency in Texas at any level, local, county, or state. But that same session, Representative Rose, you remember this, the George Floyd Act didn't even make it to the House floor. So while we made progress for Javier, while we made progress in banning these reality TV policing programs, we failed to pass the George Floyd Act, which would have been transformational in ensuring that police officers are actually protecting and serving all of us. And I hope that when we win this seat, when we win a Senate majority, we will be able to pass federal legislation to protect all Americans from police violence, including our black communities. So thank you for asking those questions. Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad you touched, but first of all, my name is Trina Lampkin. I'm from Oak Cliff, Texas.
Hey.
I come today to talk about generational wealth, and that is a thing that's being demised in Dallas County alone. We are working hard every day to buy homes, yet our homes are not going to our children. And it's not there because we're being erased daily by predatory sales. What can we get on the federal level to stop them? Because on the state level, they're coming at us every day, taking away. And now I've just found out they're putting memorandums on people's houses that they're trying to sell, like in the southern sector. So then they're extorting us for $20,000 or $30,000. So it's a lot that's going on the county level, but we need something on the federal level to help on black home ownership, because we're at a decline right now. We're at 28% in Dallas County right now, and many people don't even know that. So what can we expect from you to help us to get that back up to that 75% we were once at?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And it is the job of our federal government to protect consumers, to protect folks who can't go to battle with these predatory lenders, with giant corporations that are taking advantage of consumers. This is back to the point about getting money out of our politics. The only way we're going to build a government that actually serves us, that serves black homeowners here in Dallas County, is if we limit the influence of those corporate special interests. Because what happens is those predatory lenders, they buy the politicians, and then the politicians rewrite the rules to benefit those predatory lenders at our expense. And so there's going to be, hopefully, when we win this Senate majority, enough political will for us to be able to get that money out of our politics and start reforming our housing policies so it actually benefits those trying to build generational wealth. I mentioned that I was a teacher on the west side of San Antonio. I taught almost exclusively black and brown students. It tells you something about modern day segregation. And my students struggled with generational poverty. It wasn't situational poverty. Their parents are poor. Their grandparents were poor. And, a lot of people like to say that folks should pull themselves up by their bootstraps. But what I saw on the west side of San Antonio is it's impossible to pull yourself up by your bootstraps without any boots. And we should be honest about the fact that white Americans throughout our history have benefited from government policy that helped them build wealth, that helped white families own property, that helped white families go to college. That was government intervention to help them build wealth. Now we want to see that same kind of aggressive intervention to help black families build the same kind of wealth. Because when black families are well off, when black businesses are well off, then black communities are well off. And all communities are well off. We are tied together in this economy. The success of black communities and black homeowners here in Dallas County benefits all of us across the state of Texas. A rising tide lifts all boats, and it's why we need these interventions to correct historical injustices and ensure that we are lifting up, giving boots to those families who are working hard day in and day out, who are trying to pass on a home to their kids, to the next generation. We should have their backs in the United States Senate. I'll just tell you a quick story before we go to the next question. I was in Houston, and I was visiting with airport workers, and I met a woman named Augusta. She's a grandmother. She's caring for 2 of her grandkids. One has autism. She is working 10-hour shifts, cleaning the airplanes that we fly on. She gets in there. She's given 45 minutes to clean the plane. The airline, which makes billions of dollars in profit, refuses to turn on the air conditioning on the plane. So Augusta, a grandmother, is working in dangerous heat, rushing to clean that plane as fast as possible. Her wages don't even allow her to put a roof over her and her grandchildren's heads. She is now facing eviction. Augusta works full time. She does hard, grueling, back-breaking work for all of us, and she can't afford to get by. And these are the kinds of stories that I'm hearing all over this state, particularly from black Texans. And it underscores the need to win this race. There is no substitute for winning political power. We should protest, we should march, we should organize, but most importantly, we have to win power. Because if we don't win power, we can't change any of this. We can't make a difference in people's lives. We can't ensure that black homeowners here in Dallas County are able to pass on those homes to their kids. That is just one example of why it is so important that we come together and do everything we can, that I do everything I can as the nominee to win this race on November 3rd. Other questions?
All righty,
Yeah.
y'all. We have got time for one more question.
We got some people over here who want it. How about we take a few more?
Okay,
Yes.
we have one right here.
Hello, my name is Gervais Williams.
Hi.
I'm a current federal employee. I work with the VA, and day one, everyone's seen this administration attack us. I spoke with many of my coworkers on a daily basis because we didn't know whether or not we were going to wake up and have a job the next day. And now, with my position, so far, so good, we're safe. Yeah. But now, they're trying to attack the union. So what is your stance and position on working with the AFGE to ensure our protections as a union member?
Well, I am proud to say I have the AFGE's endorsement in this race for the U.S. Senate. We are partnering with your union to win this thing. And that's because I was a member of my union when I was a classroom teacher. I remember my first year of teaching, I wanted to impress my principal, as all first-year teachers want to do. My principal asked me to take on extra lunch duty. I said yes, because I wanted to be a good employee. But as a first-year teacher, I needed that 20 minutes to scarf down a lunch, to get a quick break, to sit down for a second before going on with the rest of the day. I didn't feel comfortable advocating for myself as a first-year teacher. It was my union. It was our union rep on our campus that stepped in to make sure that I got the lunch break that I deserved. That is the work that unions are doing every day for our federal employees, for our public employees here in Texas. I am proud to say, as a member of the Texas legislature, I am a member of the Texas State Employees Union as well. So I believe in the power of organized labor. And I'll just say, the gentleman and I were just talking about the destruction of the middle class. You can almost chart over the last 50 years the decline of the middle class with the decline of labor unions in this country. Labor unions built the middle class, and it's why we have to strengthen our unions all over our economy, because they're the folks who are fighting for workers in the workplace and ensuring that all of us are benefiting from the fruits of this economy. So you have my commitment to continue working with your union and to work with our union brothers and sisters all over the state of Texas in the United States Senate. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Amanda Meredith. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Navy.
Hey. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm from South Eau Claire. My question is, since I've been back since 2017, I have noticed the over-policing in our neighborhoods, especially during Juneteenth. I myself was attending an event in Lancaster, and our event was closed down 2 hours prior to it actually ending. We were doing nothing. We were just having a very joyous occasion, and yet we were told to leave without even giving a proper explanation. Other reports from other people that I know very closely over North Dallas, Oak Cliff, South Dallas, all over police, but 4th of July actually has a lot more violence going on than Juneteenth. So ever since that Trump had ended the investigations into civil rights investigations, police investigations, the craziness in this country has gotten worse. Our people have getting killed left and right. Carmela Anthony's case is just a fucking tragedy. Excuse my language. But it is. So what are we gonna do to fix those harms? There should be no reason why I can't go to a cookout and enjoy myself amongst my people without being over policed because you don't have anything to do with it, you weren't getting paid in some type of way, that we are not allowed to do our own thing without being constantly policed. I have more trauma from living here, coming back here, than I did when I was in Bahrain, Kuwait, Afghanistan. And that's the anxiety. That's what I was most worried about. I came back here because my family is here for my son so he can get to know them. But that was what am I going to be like now when I'm driving around? Am I going to get harassed by the police, the state troopers? The Dallas DPD are the biggest gangs that I know of in this freaking country, and it has got to stop.
Thank you. Thank you for your question, and thank you for your service. This is unacceptable. I was proud to march in Dr. Opal Lee's Walk for Freedom in Fort Worth for Juneteenth. It was one of the most beautiful celebrations I've participated in the whole campaign. So many Texans showing up, black, white, and brown, all together, marching for justice, marching for progress, marching for freedom. It was a joyous, beautiful thing to see. And I'm so sorry that law enforcement felt the need to shut down a joyous festival for you in this community. It is unacceptable. Law enforcement is here to serve us. It is here to protect us. And too often, we see law enforcement weaponized against black and brown communities in this state. We have a deeply broken justice system. We have a deeply broken approach to policing. There are folks who are advocating for change, for community policing, for building trust with neighbors on the ground, because that's what keeps us safe. We've seen leaders advocating for resources to address the root cause of crime, right? Poverty, right? Housing instability, mental health, the things that are actually going to keep us safe long term. So what we need are leaders who, one, have a proven track record on this, which I have in the state legislature, and I invite you to look at my track record on issues of law enforcement and justice reform. And we need to make sure that we build a system where everybody has true public safety. And if you can't celebrate Juneteenth with your community, that is not public safety. In fact, it's the opposite, because it's community gatherings like that that keep us safe in the long run. And I think it is so short-sighted for for folks to be going after events like that. Because if we have law enforcement, if we're spending precious law enforcement resources on a Juneteenth festival, instead of going after people who actually mean to do us harm, then that endangers all of us. And we'll just, and I do want to just mention this. I was in Houston last night, and we had a prayer vigil for Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, who was murdered by ICE on the streets of Houston. Our immigrant community is also facing a similar threat from being over-policed. Every resource going after construction workers like Lorenzo Salgado is a resource that's not going after folks who are actually committing crimes. And so we have to get back to a place where police, where law enforcement, where ICE, where they are actually fighting for public safety, not fighting our communities. And I think that if we win this race in November, we will build the political will to take federal action to ensure that law enforcement is actually protecting and serving all of us, not just some of us. I know we've talked about some heavy topics here. And I know things are dark right now. All you got to do is open up your phone, turn on a TV, and you're flooded with bad news. We've talked about some of these things that are happening to Black Texans, things that are happening to our communities. And like many of you, I am tempted by hopelessness. I'm tempted by despair. I feel those things tugging at me. And when I'm feeling this way, there's a verse of scripture I return to. And I want to share it with you as a gift, whether you're religious or not. It's in the Gospel of Luke, when Jesus says something really strange. He says, "Blessed are you who weep." And that's a strange thing to say. How can someone who's weeping be considered blessed? In this country, we tend to avoid grief, but I think we forget that grief can be fertile soil. Sometimes we see the world most clearly through our tears. If your heart is breaking as you watch what's happening to our beloved country, it means you still have a heart. I want you to trust that. I want you to protect that, because that is how we're going to get out of all of this. So blessed are you who weep. Thank you all for being here today. God bless you. I'm going to be in this photo line. If you didn't get a chance to ask your question, I will be here till the bitter end to answer any question you may have. God bless you, DeSoto. Let's go win this thing. Thank you.
Alrighty, y'all. Friendly reminder, please stay and ask us questions. We're going to be right out here. If you are not against this wall, you are not in line. Appreciate you guys so much. And let's take back to